Michigan Leap of Faith story is different than the other Leap stories. Unlike the others, we did not have to get on a plane to visit each other. We are the first pair of congregations that are geographically close, only an hour's drive away. As you'll see, our proximity profoundly affected our Leap of Faith experience. We are the UU Church of Greater Lansing. We are a mid-sized congregation with 350 members. Our mentor is the first UU congregation of Ann Arbor. They are a large-sized church with over 500 members. Both cities have a Big Ten university, and our rivalry is rich and long-standing. Lansing has Michigan State, go green! Ann Arbor has the University of Michigan, go blue! Despite our college rivalry, the two congregations have much in common. For instance, the Lansing Church is looking for a new building. The Ann Arbor Church faced this decision several years ago. They built a beautiful new building on several acres of land. Their building stories, good and bad, are enriching our building decisions. Our senior ministers both participated in the Dreaming Big project several years ago. The friendship they'd already formed provided a platform to build on. The Leap of Faith program made us more intentional about building our relationship. We carved out time that we hadn't before. Our leaders have met face-to-face several times, sometimes in Lansing, sometimes in Ann Arbor. We want an ongoing relationship that will provide connections and nurturing for both congregations.
Because I think in our movement, it's very typical that the ministers remain connected.
Yes.
And it's less typical that lay leaders get connected with other lay leaders. And that to me has been the strength of this.
In General
So
Assembly, district meetings, not enough.
Exactly.
They're great, but they, each have a different purpose, but they're not enough.
Yeah.
I found we don't get traction until specific people, like our religious educators, getting to know each other,
Yeah.
and unfolding in that sense of connectedness is the long-term payoff. We're trying to get the musicians together and lay leaders together.
To connect our churches, our ministers exchanged pulpits.
One thing I very much appreciated about the pulpit exchanges, we were in the midst of that building discussion, and you were able to come to East Lansing and say some things to the congregation that I, as the settled minister, couldn't have said in the same way. And because this congregation had experienced already the pain of, moving in recent memory, the congregation could hear it. And ever since that pulpit exchange, people have talked to me about feeling connected.
Our other two ministers shared a sermon.
Yeah, the idea of two ministers sharing a sermon was a real challenge. And I think especially about the topic, about how ministers and churches used to work together.
Right.
And I think it was a challenge, but it was also a great reflection to the congregation, what we're really looking at doing.
Right, right. They say that the best sermons, you don't talk about it, you show what you want to communicate. And by doing it collaboratively, that was what we were talking about, how congregations used to collaborate and partner with each other. So by bringing that into the worship service itself, I think it made a strong statement.
Especially to have both of us standing at the pulpit together, preaching, first one of us saying something and then another saying something. I think the impact of that was very significant, and I've had a number of people from the East Lansing congregation say, wow, that was something.
It was very well received here too.
Lay leaders in small group ministry got connected too.
Then we arranged to have pretty much a whole day, a Saturday, where all of the covenant group facilitators from our church, from East Lansing, go to Ann Arbor, and they had probably at least as many, a dozen people there, and we met for about half a day in Ann Arbor to talk about. They did a lot of explaining about how they do what they call chalice circles, and we shared and got a lot of information from them. And then after that, after that meeting, our group met and narrowed down what we needed, wanted further from them, and then we had a conference call. And so it's been, the really big thing was that face-to-face meeting. It doesn't feel like it was a one-time event that's over. It feels like it's sort of a beginning.
But how do we know we're putting all the pieces together?
And each one of us could report a deeper understanding of where we were and a sense of support and collaboration in moving forward. And that's how I know it's working, is because all these different agendas are getting fed and strengthened. And heresy, perhaps, it matters less to me about the particulars of the program, but if we can sustain, because we are in this for a longer haul than just 1 year, if we can sustain that level of connectedness with key people in our congregations, then any particular conversation we engage is one that we can have confidence in how we're doing, what the outcomes will be.
Our leap of faith put us in a sustainable, collaborative learning partnership. The Michigan story is not ending. The Michigan story is just beginning.